in Lagos State, where officers of the State Environmental Sanitation Corps are currently demolishing shanties at the Adeniji Adele section of the 3rd mainland bridge. Lagos State government had announced on Sunday that it would remove more than 100 shanties along the water channel. Commissioner for the Environment, Tokunbo Wahab, mentioned that the exercise is part of government's commitment to reclaim all ungoverned spaces that dot the Lagos landscape. According to the commissioner, the shanties serve as a hiding place for criminals and points for peddling hard drugs and substances which are injurious to the well-being of law-abiding residents.
You are building on a canal. Why building the canal? Did you take any permission from the government? We give them permission. Even if we give them 2 years, they are all over 3. They will still come up with the issue that we don't have that. I guess for the state didn't give them enough. We did. That's why you see that we are not having resistance here. I think we didn't give them enough notice. Okay, like when they came this morning, some of them already they started dismantling their structures. So that should tell you that they are kind of aware that will be coming.
Away from that, the family of Patrick Anasekwa, the young man who died after he was allegedly stabbed by a police officer, is seeking justice. They are hoping for a quick intervention to bring closure to the matter. Senior correspondent Ivy Kano has details.
Patrick Anasekwa, an indigenous of Uguato in Anambra State, never knew that his visit to a popular mall in the Ajah area of Lagos on the 20th of April will be his last. This is after a police officer whom the command has identified as Inspector Taufik, a member of visiting 12 PMF squadron to Lagos, stabbed him, leading to his death. The family and friends say justice is all they seek. Late Patrick's girlfriend, who saw him after the stab, narrates what she witnessed.
It was just a normal day. There was no light, so the gym has been on since morning. So at that time, it was like, let's go out for fresh air and just allow the gym to rest. When we come back, continue. So we just went out, went to Skymo, the bar behind Skymo, still in the compound there. Around 12, he came back to me in the car. We talked, and he said he wanted to go and get something from the entrance gate of Skymo. So I just stepped down from the car, for him to just pick it up, come back. We are still there, since his friends were still there. So we drove off with the car. Within 1 minute, he's coming back on foot without his car, with blood rushing out from his face. Like, I had to rush him. Okay, when he was coming out, he was shouting, "Senior man, this man don't kill me. Senior man, this man don't kill me." So I was like, stand on my friends. I looked and that was him. So I rushed to him. His clothes was already drenched with blood. So behind him was the poor man that was following him. He was carrying gun and he was holding a small knife in his hand. So he's pointing to him. The man is not denying the fact that he stabbed him. So I walked up to the man. I was like, "Sir, what happened? Why did you stab him?" So the man did not say anything. I was confused at that. The people he was like calling senior man still, they were now coming and they were like trying to ask the man, "Okay, what's happened?" Then the man popped his gun and everybody had to give the man space. So he ran.
According to her, the hospitals around the area didn't help Patrick when he was bleeding.
When we got there, they said they didn't even want to attend to me. It was after a lot of pleading. "Please help him. You see he's losing blood, please." So they had to like bandage him. They didn't treat him. They didn't like do any other thing. We had to go to hospital close to that, still around the Ajah. We went to the hospital. They said they did not have the facility to help us. We went to the hospital, all in Ajah. They said they did not have the facility to help. Then there is another hospital we went to. I can't remember the name, but it's opposite Crown State. That was the hospital that directed us to General Hospital. They said at the time we got to that hospital, this happened at around 1 a.m. on 20th. So that hospital was like he has lost like 60% of his blood. so we had to rush him to General Hospital. Like 5 minutes to General Hospital, he stopped responding. So when we got to General Hospital, the doctors came out and checked him and confirmed he was dead.
Patrick's elder brother, while describing his brother, said their parents are yet to come to terms with his death.
The family, we are still standing on one ground. We want justice for our brother, because I believe the police department are being mobilized to safeguard lives and properties. So I don't understand why what you are mobilized for, you are doing the opposite.
Having met several times with the police, they are worried with reports coming from the mall where the incident took place.
I will commend the state CID for a job well done, because to me, they've done well so far. But I still feel there's still a cover up somewhere regarding the camera, the CCTV footage that governs that mall. Because I believe such establishments, there should be CCTV cameras that governs the whole place. So we requesting to see the video, and we are getting feedback like the event happened at night, the video is not clear, stuff like that. Doesn't sound well with me. The footage that covers that area, I believe we have right to see it.
The Commissioner of Police Lagos Command told us on phone that the said police officer will face internal disciplinary actions, and also assured they will be transparent with their findings. Ivy Kano, TVC News, Lagos.
For more insights on this development, let's speak with a security expert, Dixon Asaji. Thank you for joining us on TVC News at 1. But what exactly do you make of Patrick Anosikwa's death, and how can the police go about ensuring the CCTV footage is provided to aid investigation?
Fantastic question. Thank you very much. The death of Patrick is a disturbing one, and it's already set back to the effectiveness and capability of the Nigerian police force. All this while we'll be trying to rebrand. They'll be trying to rebrand their image. Say the police is your friend. Your friend shouldn't stab you. Your friend shouldn't kill you. This is one of the setbacks to the Nigerian police efforts in curtailing with the state of insecurity in Nigeria. And I tell you that the Nigerian police must not take this lightly, because it's a serious dent on their image. It's a serious dent on their reputation and operational engagement. For me, I think the family of Patrick have had a very great loss. This is not expected, because the Nigerian police are solely there to protect us from internal aggression and not to carry out an aggression against the Nigerian people. And I believe that the person that is in charge, the person involved, the officer involved, should be well dealt with. And I think this should be a learning curve for the Nigerian police, and also in their training academy. They must be made to understand that we are their employers. The civilian populace are their employers. We are not their enemy. In time, they must be able to crime and affective behavior. So this is not good. We also want Nigerian negligence. This is all about command negligence. I must tell you the truth. The DPOs, what are they doing? What training are they giving their officers and men before they dispatch them for internal or external duties? We don't let these guys understand that things like this are not going to be tolerated. What are the disciplinary measures put in place? A lot needs to be done in the area of command negligence and also fire discipline as well. This incident happened with the jackknife, I think. I think it's an engagement discipline. I should be looking at fire discipline to ensure that officers who carry out firearms and self-defense equipment do not use that equipment unjustifiably. If they do that, such officers must be made.
Okay, but then should police personnel actually, be carrying daggers? Because in this case, we've heard that the police officer was seen with a blood-stained knife.
Well, if you ask me that question, it's going to be a systematic answer. But if they are within a given environment, a peacetime situation, I don't think they should be carrying out daggers. The whole essence of carrying dagger is for your own self-protection, or maybe you're in the battlefield, or you're in an engagement within the enemy line. So you carry out dagger when you have exhausted all your arms and ammunition, and you want to carry out a fight to fight. Then you bring out your dagger, to fight yourself to safety. It's not ceremonial carrying out dagger or moving around with dagger as a police officer. If you are within the civilian populace, you keep your dagger or you conceal your dagger. Bringing it out at any slightest provocation is not acceptable in our time. But for me, it's not wrong to move around with dagger. It's for self-defense. But I don't think the management of that dagger is all we need to start looking at. Or the police authority can come on board and say, hey, no more movement with dagger within the cities, so that the Nigerian, the civilians populations are not being scared or don't be scared within that environment.
So what steps do you think are available to the family to actually get justice for Patrick?
Well, first of all, they need to sue the Ministry of Defense or sue the Nigerian Police Authority because, most times some police officers go away with this, or the Nigerian police system goes away with it. For me, I think the person that should, the institution that should be held accountable is the Nigerian police, and the Nigerian Police Authority must be sued by the family for damages, because if, as an institution, you are not holding your officers and men accountable, or holding them properly in the area of training, in the area of engagement, in the area of civil military or civil police relationship, I think you've also failed your own area of policing duties. That is not why the Nigerian police was established. So for me, the family must go all out to sue the Nigerian police, not this individual per se, because he's representing an institution. If you sue this individual, you'll get nothing. That is what I believe. The family should also look at suing the Nigerian police to get justice. Then on another note I will need to put in here is that we need to also look at the causative factors. Why is it that the Nigerian police or some bad eggs in the Nigerian police are carrying out this evil act? Then that tells you there's a systemic problem, and that I will advise the Nigerian police, because with enough honesty, the present IGP is doing all his best to ensure that he achieves professionalism in the Nigerian policing system. So they need to look into the systemic failure and ensure that those who frustrate the effort of the Nigerian police must be dealt with decisively to send a general and specific deterrence to the entire police force.
Security expert Dixon Osaje, thank you so much for talking to us on TVC News at 1.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Still ahead on the news at 1. Osun State government asks residents to shun all forms of violence and embrace peaceful coexistence. More on this and other stories after the break. Please stay with us.
Hi. You don't know when you have bacteria breath, and bacteria may be the cause of it. Don't let bacteria breath get all the attention. Use Close-Up with antibacterial zinc. Close-Up helps get rid of bacteria breath.
Every morning is an opportunity to take your hustle to the next level. Every morning is one day closer to your ambition. So, make every morning count. Cup after cup, morning after morning. Start strong, finish strong. Nescafe.
Thanks for staying with us. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Lagos State government begins demolition of shanties at Adeniji Adele section of the 3rd mainland bridge. Family of Patrick Anosika, who died after he was allegedly stabbed by a police officer, seeks justice. Outside Nigeria, Israeli military asks people in southern Gazan city of Rafah to move towards an expanded humanitarian zone. In sports, Nigeria's men and women relay teams star at World Relays in Bahamas to seal Paris Olympic qualification. Well, let's turn attention to Katsina State, where residents and some key players are remembering the life and times of the former president, Umaru Yar'Adua, 14 years after his demise. TVC News' Abdulatif Yusuf takes a look at how his legacies are still being celebrated years after his death.
Umaru Musa Yar'Adua is a leader par excellence and a household name in Katsina and the entire country for his 2.5 years as the president. He was a visionary leader who had dreamed of making his country one of the best in the world during his presidency. His 7-point agenda is a testimony to these dreams and achievements despite the numerous challenges that followed his election. The late president made an impact through reforms he introduced to rectify some thorny issues, especially his electoral and petroleum reforms that took center stage to ensure the rule of law and sanity. His leadership qualities, simplicity, and foresight had given him a wide acceptance in the mind of the people, especially his will to put in place a system of governance that favors all. Eminent scholars took time to pray, review his achievements and lessons to be learned from him, as his kinsmen gathered here to commemorate his death and also make a public presentation of a book written on his thoughts.
Very progressive person, a very ideological person, a person who has commanded large followership, a person who has been so thorough in his job and responsibility that never have time to rest. We thank Almighty Allah for that. May Almighty Allah bless us with more leaders like late Umaru Yar'Adua, now and in the future, so that Nigeria will move to a greater height.
Yar'Adua is near perfect. So people are now realizing what Yar'Adua did to them. In one of the chapters of the book, I say what Yar'Adua did to us and what he did to Nigeria. So we have summarized almost everything, all the reasons why Yar'Adua's name is now growing bigger and better in this country, and why Nigerians are now in love with Yar'Adua.
President Umaru Yar'Adua felt the need to give the youth their rightful role as leaders of tomorrow, a reason why he championed the amnesty program in the Niger Delta to change the mindset of the militants to become responsible citizens. Here in Katsina, where he served as 2 terms as governor, he was able to design a future for his people with education, youth development, and entrepreneurship receiving the needed attention.
Umaru is the only president of Nigeria that came to declare his assets. It is on record. He's the one who fully declared his assets publicly. Umaru, it was who took the oath of office and declared that his election had some faults and set up the Waste Committee to make corrections. It takes a man of courage, a man of God, a man of dedication to take this kind of stance against elections that brought him into office.
Late President Yar'Adua is remembered for his calmness and silent achievements during his stewardship as governor and the president of Nigeria. Abdulatif Yusuf, TVC News, Katsina.
Elsewhere, the federal government has restated its commitment to a free press for democracy to thrive. This is as the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, and Governor of Benue State, Hyacinth Alia, advocated effective constitutional protection and improved welfare for journalists in the country. National Assembly correspondent Joki Adisa has more.
Nigeria, media practitioners admit the climate for practice is relatively peaceful, but lament pockets of assault, intimidation, and unlawful detention of journalists. To draw attention to the plight of newshound, the Nigeria Union of Journalists marks this year's World Press Freedom Day with this symposium. It cites cases of harassment and intimidation against journalists fulfilling the tenets of their profession and seeks adherence to the rule of law.
In every corner of our nation, journalists are unsung heroes, the torchbearers of truth and freedom. Tonight, as we gather to honor the brave men and women who have dedicated their lives to the pursuit of truth, justice, and freedom,
the government at the center appreciates the contributions of the media to the nation's democracy. It assures the fourth estate of the realm of its unwavering commitment to guaranteeing press freedom. The government believes a thriving press is central to good governance.
Democracy can never thrive without free press. So even when political leaders tell you that they want to ensure that there's press freedom, it is important for you to remind us all the time that indeed indeed the press needs to be free so that everyone will enjoy the dividends of democracy.
On their part, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Abbas Tajuddin, and Governor of Benue State, Heinsit Alia, said the press must be given adequate protection to discharge its oversight functions as the fourth estate of the realm.
I am confident that as our democratic space continues to be strengthened and the legal frameworks reformed, the occupational hazards that journalists face would inherently be scaled down.
Democracy must be defended. Good governance is a very simple way of defending democracy. I remain indebted to this organization and to all people of goodwill out there.
The 2024 World Press Freedom Commemoration was also a good way to appreciate the torchbearers of press freedom. Umaru, an investigative reporter that put out a detailed report on how Nigerians obtained degrees within 1 or 2 months in Republic of Benin, won the Investigative Reporter of the Year award. TVC News, Abuja.
Elsewhere, Osun State government is calling for peaceful coexistence among residents, asking them to shun all forms of violence. The state deputy governor, Kola Adeomi, stated this at the presentation of staff of office and instruments of appointments to the new Elende of Ekwende in Osun State. We have details in this report.
Ekwende is a rural community in a Ifeolodun local government area of Osun State. Following the demise of its traditional ruler last year, the state government recently ordered the commencement of process to select a new monarch. Here is the presentation of staff of office and instrument of appointment to the new monarch, Oba Abdulwahid Adekunle. The state government expressed joy with the residents of the community for being peaceful.
There is no gainsaying the fact that this occasion is made possible because of the cooperation and peaceful coexistence of the people of this community. I am therefore appealing to all the people of this local council to shun acts of violence and continue to sustain and keep the existing peace.
One of the tasks ahead of the monarch is to unite his people.
My advice for him is for him to carry along members of the community in whatever he does. And he should focus more on development. And I want him to dwell much on the influence of the people by carrying the people along in whatever he does. I wish him success. I wish him longevity.
The new Elende of Ekwende land will definitely make a difference because it's well educated and highly respected among his mates. He's a chartered accountant and he will bring his knowledge to bear.
The monarch promised that the community will witness maximization of its full potentials during his reign.
To have the sense of belonging, the opportunity the Almighty God give us in this land are enormous. We have landed property, we have water resources, in which I pray to Almighty God to give me strength to take all this advantage, all this natural heritage we have in the town, to convert it to economic value within a short period of time. I want to turn my town to small Dubai, even to small London in the nearest future.
Residents were also encouraged to give the new king utmost needed support to galvanize the development of the community. Rafiu Hamid, TVC News, Ekwende, Osun State.
Now to Ondo State, where Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa has attributed his victory at the primary to God and the support from members of the All Progressives Congress. The governor, who spoke at the victory party organized by friends of Lucky, assured that he will not underrate any candidate in the governorship election coming up in November. Senior reporter Aiyedatiwa has more.
This victory party is coming a few weeks after Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa was declared winner of the April 20 governorship primary election of the All Progressives Congress (APC) in Ondo State. The event, which was attended by top government officials, party chieftains, and members of the State House of Assembly, gave Governor Aiyedatiwa the opportunity to express gratitude to his supporters. The Deji of Akure, Oba Aladelusi Aladetoyinbo, was also present at the event. The governor attributed his victory to God as his #1 backer, stressing that he will not underrate any candidate in the November 16 governorship election. He said all aspirants that contested with him are worthy to be the party's candidate.
The choice of our flag bearer is of God. That other party, PDP, that most of their generals are now in APC, even though the flag bearer is from the same federal constituency with me, my neighbor, we know each other. But we are not going to underrate him.
In their goodwill messages, party leaders, including Abiola Oshodi, who spoke virtually, stressed the need for the party to be united.
November 16, I will beg every one of us to come out at our various local governments and do this work until we win the general election. Those of us who are not here, let us embrace them, because what is in our front by November is more than what we are celebrating.
It is important to emphasize that this celebration is not intended to disparage the efforts of other gubernatorial aspirants.
Event is not to deride anybody. All the contestants who participated in the primaries, they are all winners along with Lucky.
Although the governor has taken steps to reconcile with other aspirants, he is optimistic that he will emerge victorious in the November governorship election. Aiyedatiwa Moradeyo, TVC News, Akure.
Now to other matters. The African Development Bank has described Ogun State as a powerful ally in its development programs and project implementation. Special Advisor to President of the Bank on Industrialization, Banji Oyelaran-Oyeyinka, made the statement in an interview after a meeting with Governor Dapo Abiodun in Abeokuta. Mr. Oyelaran-Oyeyinka said the visit was to discuss the development of the Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zone and to clarify the subsidiary loan agreement between Ogun State and the federal government. The Commissioner for Agriculture in Ogun State, Bolu Wotomo, while speaking, said the state stands to gain from having many agricultural transformation centers, adding that the state would feed the Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zone with raw materials. In an unexpected turn of events, Air Peace has significantly dropped its international flight fares for the Lagos to London route, eliciting mixed reactions. This move also prompted foreign airlines to reduce their prices, with some going even lower than the Nigerian airline, Air Peace. In this report, Uloma Onyemachi examines the challenges and implications of this and the importance of the Nigerian government promoting sustainability among local brands. We'll bring you that report and return with business news.
Over 200 million people, Nigeria grapples with economic challenges exacerbated by recent events like the fuel subsidy removal, spike in prices of essential items. The aviation sector felt the pinch, with both local and international flight costs skyrocketing. Despite this, the chairman and CEO of Air Peace decided to slash prices for the Lagos to London route by over 50%. With an inaugural flight carrying 260 passengers on a Boeing 777, Mr. Allen Oyama had told TVC News that the decision was based on patriotism and wants support for fellow citizens' visions.
That's why I'm always preaching nationalism, broad nationalism. Nigeria, we are one. A situation where we, don't love our country. That is the bane of everything you can have, both corruption, criminalities, and all sorts of vices. that tend to stigmatize us.
Despite the promising start, the excitement waned quickly as many international airlines, including Qatar Airways, Rwanda Air, and Emirates, swiftly slashed their prices in Nigeria for the same route. Curious, I surfed the internet for details on this price drop, specifically investigating British Airways, Ethiopian Airlines, Qatar Airways, and Turkish Airlines for this report. Despite the Naira's volatility against the dollar, a recent search revealed interesting shifts. Economy tickets for Qatar Airways flights to London from Lagos now hover between 700,000 naira and 800,000 naira, a significant drop from the 1.2 million naira price tag on economy tickets in January, while business class seats command approximately 4 million naira. Meanwhile, here is a rough estimate of ticket prices for other airlines. British Airways, as of May 2024, economic ticket stands between 800,000 naira to 1.5 billion naira. Ethiopian Airlines economy ticket 700,000 naira to 860,000 naira. Turkish Airlines economy ticket 800,000 naira to 1.3 million naira.
Peace has done the best thing ever in travel history, Nigeria travel history. You can see BA, I think it was the next day, BA reduced their price to $760 one-way tickets. Just recently, I booked ET for a customer, 630,000 naira one way. This was 1.2 million as at May last year.
So why do you think other foreign airlines had to wait for airfares to slash?
That's the thing about competition. That's the thing about demand. If other airlines like Max Air, what do we have, NG Eagle, come on board, definitely there will be competition and the price will reduce.
To fully capture the impact of this service, it's essential to engage with its customers and understand how it has reshaped their outlook, aspirations for Nigeria, and travel plans. These passengers highlight the positive effects of competition and how the government must support local brands to thrive.
It's okay that there's competition between Air Peace and them. Although if I had to fly, I will fly Air Peace. I'm not going to fly another airline because they reduced the price, because Air Peace reduced the flight.
Government should back them up with policies that can restrain the foreign airlines from putting this Air Peace man out of business.
About time, really. And I think that more homegrown businesses within the aviation sector should be encouraged to also encouraged and backed.
I don't think it's that expensive anyway, because if you compare them with other international airways, you see that they are not really that expensive. But being our own is our own.
For Freedom Osolo, a civil servant in Nigeria, interventions like these should extend beyond the aviation sector to address broader economic challenges.
Well, you know that things are really difficult in the country. The expectation of people is that as the dollar is coming down and the naira is appreciating, we expect that every other thing within the economy will come down.
The recent drop in airfare prices by Air Peace from Lagos to London route is not just good news for air travelers, but it's also a game changer as it has increased competition for prices in that route. However, institutional support by the government, as said by the air passengers, will continue to boost local business and encourage Air Peace to stand the test of time. Uloma Oyemachi, TVC News, Abuja.
After watching TVC News at 1, let's turn attention to business now. Normalcy is gradually returning to the supply and distribution chain of petroleum motor spirit, also known as petrol, following the scarcity of the product in the last 3 weeks in some parts of the country. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited blamed the recent development on logistic issues, confirming the improved supply across the various states and distribution of the commodity. The National President, Independent Marketers Association of Nigeria, IFMAN, Mr. Abubakar Maigande, said the current state of the supply and distribution shows the scarcity will end before this weekend. He said the situation is better off today, but will be much better tomorrow when there is more supply of the product. The National President of the of Marketers Association of Nigeria praised the NNPC Limited leadership for speedily resolving the shortage. As well, latest data from the National Pension Commission reveals that Nigeria's pension fund assets dropped marginally to 19.6 trillion naira from the period ended 31st March 2024. This represents a marginal decrease of about 0.45% when compared with 19.759 trillion in February 2024. This was contained in the Commission's monthly report for March 2024. A close look at the data reveals that investment in FGN securities continues to dominate portfolio allocation with about 12.2 trillion naira or 62.03% of total net asset value. Pension funds also allocated 2.058 trillion naira to corporate debt securities and 1.77 trillion naira to money market instruments. The data shows investment in ordinary shares of local companies rose by 8.72% to 2.08 trillion naira from 1.91 trillion naira in February. The International Trade Center is forging collaboration with the Nigerian Shippers Council to streamline trade processes at the ECOWAS land borders. The partnership aims to maximize the advantages of the African Continental Free Trade Area. TVC News senior business correspondent Ifunanya Eze has more.
The Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Shippers Council, Mr. Pius Akuta, welcomed the team from the International Trade Center, emphasizing the Council's commitment to facilitating trade. He pledged support for their efforts to enhance trade formalization and gather crucial trade statistics.
Trade facilitation is one of the major aspects of what we do. And in the current dispensation, where Mr. President has created the Marine and Blue Economy Ministry, his focus is to look at how we can develop the non-oil sector. And this kind of study will further strengthen our ability and our capacity to do more in terms of looking at the border areas and look at the informal trade that is going on at these border areas.
An associate program officer of the International Trade Center team explained that their visit is part of a broader study to identify areas for improving trade facilitation, particularly at cross-border points.
The main objective of this particular output is to scale up the trade facilitation measures that have been implemented in the ECOWAS region and also in specific border crossing points. So in order for us to proceed in the delivery of this particular output, we conducted a desk research which was meant to highlight the existing trade facilitation measures.
The Council's Deputy Director of Trade Services highlighted their role in providing timely information to cross-border traders. She also discussed Nigeria's proactive steps to engage in the African Continental Free Trade Area.
The fact that some things needed to be done, strengthened, and some sort of restructuring to get that place working. Personnel is just one of it, capacity building, but even the facilities, so all these were identified.
Furthermore, the Nigerian Shippers Council manages the Border Information Center at the Semekraki border, ensuring smooth trade operations. Ifunanya Eze, TVC News, Lagos.
Outside Nigeria now, Asian stocks rose to their highest in over a decade or a year today on renewed bets that the Federal Reserve will mostly likely ease rates this year. The yen weakened after a strong surge last week from Tokyo's suspected currency intervention. MSCI's Broadex Index of Asia Pacific shares outside Japan peaked out their highest since February 2023 and last gained 0.53%, with China's blue chips index jumped 1.5%. Hong Kong Hang Seng index rose by 4.7% last week. On Friday, clocked its longest daily winning streak since 2018. It was last down by 0.1%. The Nasdaq-listed Golden Dragon China index jumped 5.5% last week. Euro Stoxx 50 futures gained 0.35%, while Nasdaq futures were little changed. S&P 500 futures added 0.07%. Now, Australia's Qantas Airways has agreed to pay about 120 Australian million dollars, which is about 79
Articles all
million
often
US
contradicting
dollars, to
each other.
settle a regulator lawsuit over the sale of thousands of tickets on already cancelled flights in an attempt to rent a reputational crisis that has engulfed the airline. The airline will split about 20 million Australian dollars between more than 86,000 customers who booked tickets on the ghost flight and pay about 100 million Australian dollars fine instead of defending the lawsuit that he had previously vowed to fight. Qantas and the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission said earlier today. The fine is the biggest ever for an Australian airline and among the largest globally in the aviation sector, although some Australian banks and casino operators have faced higher penalties for breaches of law. Qantas Airways CEO Vanessa Hunsin said in a statement, is recognized Qantas let down customers and fell short of their own standard. If the court approves, the settlement will resolve a dispute that had featured prominently at a time when Qantas brand value tanked in consumer service amid a spike in complaints about cancellations. Meanwhile, the airline shares were flat in late trading against a 0.6% gain in the broader Australian market. In another development, China's services sector surged slightly slower due to higher costs in April, and job opportunities continued to decline, with optimism increased in new orders and positive business sentiment suggest a continued economic recovery. According to S&P Global Services, the Purchasing Managers Index dropped marginally to 52.5 from 52.7 in March, showing ongoing expansion for the 16th straight month. Despite this growth, China faces challenges, a lingering property market slump and subdued consumer demand. Head of China Economics at Capital Economics, Julian Evans, said PMI edged down last month and it dropped by less than its official counterpart, while other variables for April is still consistent with some improvement in momentum since the start of the year. Indonesia's economic growth in the first quarter beat expectations, buoyed by high public spending for the country's elections, but maintaining the strong pace will be challenging due to global development and tight local monetary conditions. Southeast Asia's largest economy grew by 5.11% year-on-year in the first quarter, the highest growth rate in the last 3 quarters. In the first 3 months of 2024, campaign expenditure for the February 14 election and higher household spending during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, which started in March, boosted economic activity. Some economists said the election and Ramadan spending gains are on-off factors, while higher for longer U.S. interest rate, Middle East tensions, as well as the country's rate hiking cycle clouding the growth outlook. And the crude oil space futures climbed today after Saudi Arabia hiked June crude prices for most regions, and as the prospect of a Gaza ceasefire deal appeared slim, renewing fears that the Israel-Hamas conflict could still widen in the key oil-producing region. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude rose to sell at $70.87 per barrel, with an upward price margin of 0.97%. Brent crude futures also experienced an upward price reveal of 0.77%, selling at $83.60 per barrel. And Bonnie Light recorded a price decline of 0.48%, selling at $84.45 per barrel. And for the OPEC basket, crude oil dealers offer $84.23 per barrel, with a downward price reveal of 3.37%. Well, and that's all for business. Next is sport. Please stay with us.